Alright, you know the drill by now. Looking for a continent to play a critical role in your games? That was bad even for me. Well, if you love the political side of rising tensions between two rival nations next to each other while factions vie for power, along with new schools of magic and lost ancient artifacts of a more advanced version of this world, that's rather specific, then maybe drop your players into Wildemount for your next campaign. Make sure you watch until the end for the most interesting and wild aspect of Wildemount. Wildemount is a continent in the world of Exandria by none other than the Matthew Mercer that houses the second Critical Role campaign. It is primarily made of two nations, the Dwendalian Empire and the Jorhassian Kryn dynasty. Dwendalian Empire is a fairly young kingdom with only a couple of centuries behind it, run by a human monarchy and home to the wizard school, the Solstice Academy. In contrast, Jorhas is ruled by the Kryn dynasty. Almost entirely made of drow or dark elves, these are classically considered an evil race, but in the world of Exandria, they exist like any other race. Usually condemned to the Underdark, the home city of Rosanna is covered in perpetual twilight, allowing the drow to exist on the surface. You'll also find many monstrous races in other areas of Jorhas, such as orcs, goblins, bugbears, minotaur, gnolls, and others. Wildemount is also home to the Menagerie Coast that is comprised of several city-states united under the Clovis Concord. And there is another area known as the Greying Wildlands, made of lawless cities on a cursed land that prevents it from being conquered by human hands. Are you finding this useful? If so, please consider booping that like button and subscribing to the channel so you can see more content just like this. Religion works very differently in Wildemount. Within the Dwendalian Empire, they extend control over the very gods that are approved for worship. This list includes Erathis, Bahamut, Moradin, Pelor, Ioun, and the Raven Queen. And keeping private shrines and worshipping deities outside of this approved list is illegal in the Dwendalian Empire. The dynasty works very differently again. There is but a single deity worthy of worship, known as the Luxon. The dynasty collects beacons, sacred relics said to be fragments of the body of the Luxon's physical form. And through the use of these beacons, the dynasty has discovered a way to harness their souls for rebirth. And because of this, many members of the dynasty have already lived several lifetimes. Wildemount, and specifically the dynasty, gives us a whole new type of magic known as dunamancy. This is the study and use of magic called dunamis, the magic of potential and probability. We also see new magical subclasses in Wildemount with two new wizard subclasses. Chronergy wizards specialize in manipulating time and space, allowing them to send enemies into the past against their will. Graviturgy wizards manipulate the nature of items and beings, but more importantly, the way that gravity interacts with them, making them devastating battlefield control wizards. We also see a new fighter in the Echo Knight. Traditionally a frontline Kryn fighter who can create magical echoes of their physical form. This allows them to fight through their echo and even switch places with them across the battlefield. As promised, you made it this far, so we're going to talk about the wildest part of Wildemount, and no, it's not the Wildlands. I'm talking about the lost city of Aeor, far in the frozen lands known as Iselcross. The remnants of this ancient floating city predates the Calamity, which we could make an entire video on just the Calamity itself, so moving on. A relic of when the world of Exandria was awash with advanced magic and technology, now long forgotten, the leftovers of the floating city of Aeor remain. These areas contain highly advanced magical technology, but also where dangers lurk as the people of Aeor created biological weapon creatures known as Aeorian hunters. And if you're interested in binding magic and technology, then maybe you should check out our guide to Eberron right here.